All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our ENG networking group family. We appreciate you. I am Fred Fitzgiles, and welcome to the ENC Talk Show. We're here every single Wednesday on Facebook and on YouTube, where we interview our amazing guest speakers. First of all, thank you for being our valued members of the ENG networking group, and also just make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you will not miss us being here every Wednesday at 3 p.m. with the ENC Talk Show. I'm excited. The ENG group is a place where is on Facebook. We have literally over 200,000 members, and it's a place where we just create a space for entrepreneurs, a safe space for entrepreneurs worldwide to be able to network, mentor, and inspire. So we appreciate you being here. So I'm excited to be able to have our guest panel today in an amazing topic that I believe is going to help out tons of people, especially all of our entrepreneurs who seem to be all over the place. And our topic is going to be work-life balance. Man, talking about scales, work-life balance. So we have our amazing speakers. Before I bring them on, I just want to say thank you. Our first speaker today we're going to be having is Carrie Ryan, which is part of our ENG networking group. We also have Eduardo Orozco. Hey, Carrie, how you doing? Thank you for coming on. We also have Naomi Harmon, absolutely, as our guest, talking about a great topic. And we cannot forget, come on now, the coach. You can't start without the coach, Coach T, Sharon Thompson. Come on, boy. Hey, everybody's here. How's everybody doing?
Hey.
Pretty good.
Good.
Absolutely. We got a great topic today, work-life balance. I mean, I think that everybody's going to have, it's going to be a great conversation, but let me do a little bit of what they call housekeeping on my radio days. Don't forget, on Monday, August 8th, we're going to have our Net Connect, meaning it's our speed networking event. That's on Monday, and it's from 8 a.m. all the way through to 10 p.m. Eastern time. So you better come on and be able to network with entrepreneurs worldwide. It's a full day of networking. You can make a lot of connections. We also have opportunities for you to get digital ebooks and a lot of great stuff. So that's going to be on Monday, August the 8th, starting at 8 a.m. and all day long. You don't have to be there at 8, but just come in every once in a while. You want to meet, you want to network and connect. That's all we do, right? That's all we do is connect. That's on August 8th from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So let's get started. I want to jump right in. Work-life balance. First of all, let me just let everybody kind of introduce themselves for those who have been following us and for those who have never seen you before. So we're gonna start off with to my left, Carrie Ryan. Introduce yourself.
Thanks, Fred. I'm excited to be here today and especially talking about this topic. So I am a mother of 6. I have children ages 3 up to 13. My husband and I are both entrepreneurs. We both have our own businesses. We work from home. We homeschool from home. We've just started the school year this week. And so this topic is a very near and dear to my heart. I couldn't possibly do it all without my husband. So I want to say that first and foremost, having support is so important. But that's a little bit about me, just more personally. So Eduardo, let's hear a little bit about you.
Well, let me start by saying that I'm here to challenge the topic of today's show. Because we said the topic for today's show is work-life balance. So I'm here to say that that's not what we are going to balance. We're going to balance our brain around work and around life. So I'm here to create a controversy for the day.
Yes, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. I can always rely on Mr. Orozco to challenge the regular. Everybody put your hands up. Push, because he's going to push back. Let's go, right? All right, Coach T.
Well, hello. I am Coach T with the brand Coach T Speaks. I am excited to be here. I am normally, as a life strategist, coaching women that lack confidence, really working on finding their purpose. I have just taken on another baby where I am doing adult education and coaching and assisting adults that want to get their GED, do their testing, pass their testing, and be able to step into their future as well.
Absolutely.
Great.
And last but not least, never last, but always first, and first to be last, Naomi Harmon.
Hey guys, I'm Naomi Ray Harmon. I'm owner of Madison Ray Consulting. I'm a project manager and consultant. I help entrepreneurs to automate their systems and implement systems that basically help them save time and reduce manual processes, and add that automation in there so they can, have some things, some of their processes streamlined. So work and life balance kind of goes hand in hand with what I help entrepreneurs with, as far as like saving time, working smarter, not harder, implementing those systems, automating them, and things like that. So I am happy to be here and to talk about this. I'm ready.
I'm excited to be here. And make sure everybody do me a favor. Tag every entrepreneur that you know in this group. Tag them. If you have any entrepreneur friends, tag them to the group so they can be able to see this. Entrepreneurs. Now, this is a specific for entrepreneurs. As we talk about this, we can get as many people to be able to get this amazing information. So we're going to have, since you were already revved up about this, we're going to have you kick this off. What does it mean? What does the word work-life balance mean to you, and how have you seen it or not?
So I'll just start by saying that I think finding balance between work and home life is probably an impossible act. People ask me how I do it all the time, and I'm like, it's different every day. No, we have like certain priorities that we are non-negotiables with our family, and no work, no outside obligations can come into that small circle of what those those priorities are. And there's like 3 or 4 list items that we as a family we don't compromise on, and some of them are certain times of our schedule, like Sundays, for instance. Those are no-go days. I'm usually completely even offline on those days. You can't even get in touch with me unless you have my phone number. And even then, sometimes I put it on that mode where only the people on your favorites list can contact you. And there's literally 9 people on that list. I think that finding balance is really, I love what Eduardo said. I agree. It's more a state of mind, like you just have to be comfortable with where you're spending your time. At the end of the day, we teach our kids all the time, when someone says, I don't have time for that, it's really just not your priority. So I think that you have to manage your priorities between work and home life and just friends and family and where you're going to put your time, because we all get the same amount of time a day, And so I think that the balance in that more is being confident and being comfortable and at peace with where you've put your priorities, and letting go of what you just don't have time to put your priority on right now. And then being able to say that too, when people ask, I've got friends who are like, you don't spend time with me anymore. I barely hear from you anymore. And I'm just honest. I say, my priority right now is not to spend as much time with friends. I've got other things in my life that I have to do. And I'm confident in that, right? Like, I don't even feel like it's something I have to apologize for. It's my own choice, how I spend my time and what my priorities are. And so that's kind of where I have balance in my life, is open communication with people around me and especially with my husband. And we sit down like almost monthly or whenever there needs to be a pivot or an adjustment. And we say, okay, what are our priorities? What are the non-negotiables? Do we need to move something out of the non-negotiable, put something into the non-negotiable, which we did recently. We actually, about 10, 11 weeks ago, we met a couple who is dealing with stage 4 cancer, and the wife was needing a lot of help and was being taken advantage of by other people in her life. And so about 11 weeks ago, we just kind of dropped all of our plans for Sundays. And after church, every Sunday, we go over to her house and we just spend time with her and her husband and help around the house and just do whatever we can. And we made that a part of our priorities. And it wasn't before. We had other things going on Sundays. And so we put those things out and put that into the non-negotiable, and it will be for however long it needs to be. So that's one example. But I mean, we pivot all the time. But I don't think you're ever going to have balance in work life.
Wow, I hear you that.
Unattainable.
Yeah. Well, I definitely hear that. And I know that word you kept saying, priorities, it was one of the things that I had totally. It always got me out of balance, and between priorities and distractions. Those are the 2 main things that got me distracted. And half the time the distraction is me scrolling on my phone, trying to figure out what's going on and who's saying what when nobody really cares. But that's one of the biggest distractions for me. How about you, Coach T?
Definitely that little bit of adult ADHD. You tap onto something, you're just going to look for a second, and the next thing you know, you're on to it for like 2 hours, right?
Man.
For me, it is because you know how to multitask, right? So we always hear that word, multitasking. The truth of the matter is that I am right along with Eduardo when you say it's a mindset, because we have a tendency to multitask, and we become like the jack of all trades and master of none. Like we do a whole bunch of things, and then we don't focus in or have priorities that we focus in and hone in on that one thing. For me, for instance, taking this new job, the previous work that I did before I stepped out on faith to become an entrepreneur, I gave all of my time to that job, 110%. And I was giving myself just a little bit of time. Like I was, coaching here and there, and I was always on the back burner. But that was my passion and dream. So I had to step out on that. Now that's a non-negotiable. I will give my description, my job description, and I will do it to the best of my ability. But I will definitely, when I leave here, give myself the exact amount of time during the weekday. I will most definitely on the weekend give myself that time, and I will make it a priority to always do that. There's not going to be, that's a non-negotiable now. I will not put myself on the back burner. And when it comes to the distractions and friends, when you really want to know, Carrie, like this is funny that you said that, but when you really want to know as an entrepreneur who your support is, tell them that you can't hang out. Tell them that your priorities change. You'll know who is for you in your business the moment you set boundaries in place.
That's right.
Yep.
Ooh, absolutely.
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, me too, definitely. So before I come to you, Naomi, I want to bring in the executioner. The guy's going to come in and slash this work-life balance thing. What say ye, Sir Eduardo?
Well, I have to say that the key is really what Carrie mentioned. I mean, Carrie, you were talking about priorities, but then in there, you mentioned the secret to everything: choice.
Yeah,
it's a choice. Yeah. I mean, all we're doing is a choice. Even time is a choice, and the problem is that we cannot even talk about time because time is such a relative and vague concept. I mean, we agreed to call time to the movement of the planet Earth around the sun and the rotation. That's what we call time. But in reality, it's not that I'm giving you my time, or I'm not giving distractions my time. I'm giving them my focus. And it's a very different idea.
Yes.
Like I don't give people my time. I don't give time to anything and to anybody. I can give you my focus, or I don't give it to you.
Ooh.
And that's how I create time for me. So let's say, like Carrie, what you were saying, after church, you were helping this family. So it wasn't just your time. You chose to give your focus. And the impact of that, it cannot be measured with anything, with time, with value, with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a choice.
Yep.
Do me a favor, everybody just go.
That was a good one.
Isn't that a good one? All right, Neil.
Well, you see, everybody says that time is our most valuable asset. No, it's not.
Sure.
It's our focus and our attention.
Yeah. Once you focus,
that's what creates time. My life is created by my focus, not by my time.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Naomi Harmon, talk to us. Work-life balance.
So
have you mastered it?
Yeah, it's hard to go after that. But speaking of focus, right, and how whatever your perspective may be on time and focus, but I believe, like, I don't know, the older I get, the more creative I get in trying to have that work-life balance, right? As Coach T spoke about, especially that adult ADHD, right? Fortunately, I don't have a family at home. I don't have kids. I don't have a dog or anything. But there's still tons of distractions. But the older I get, the more creative I get as far as what I can do to have that balance, because I don't have other people at home. I live by myself. So I have to say, like, how can I get myself to pull away, right? From friends, phone conversations with people across the country, scrolling on Facebook, seeing who's talked to me, even though no one cares, right? So I have a few things that I do. Like before I even open my laptop, open any files or anything, I'm writing a to-do list. What's everything that I need to do today? Okay. And then I'm like going to prioritize it. Okay. So this is what I need to do today, but what do I need to do first? What's the hardest? What's going to take the longest? What has a deadline date as of tomorrow? And I start there. I can't even open my laptop until I get that done, because then I'll start checking emails, and we all know how long we get stuck there. So I've struggled with work-life balance, like by choice, just like Eduardo said, like I live in Atlanta. I don't know a lot of people here yet. So I'm like, well, what else is there to do beside work? Right. And I would utilize little tools on my phone, turning my phone to focus mode, do not disturb, or working. But really having to pull back and say, okay, so beside work, even though I'm working for myself, like where's that balance for, even if I'm not going outside? What about working out? Or what about just like watching a show or doing something other than working, especially when you work from home? I know you guys probably have all experienced that, at least through COVID. So I feel like the balance is even harder to do when the work is right there in your living room or in your dining room, wherever your desk is. It's hard to detach. So I feel like, we just have to kind of get creative and, draw those boundaries and stop those long phone conversations, whatever it is. And, just do what works for you. And like Carrie said, some days it's like this, some days it's like that. It's different every day.
Yeah. And I think to kind of go off what you were saying, Naomi, I think one of the biggest, I'm a workaholic. Like I've got adult ADHD as well. I think I even had childhood ADHD, but it just manifested looked differently in girls than it does. Like, tell me, like, raise of hands in the audience, even how many women out there totally undiagnosed as ADHD and they're figuring it out now that they're adults and they're like, wait a minute, these things are starting to line up. But I'm a workaholic. I'm so driven, and I have so many dreams, and I have so many plans, and I'm constantly strategizing in my head. And I think that's a bit the superpower of ADHD. But the best thing I did for my family was to move to rent an office. So I have an office about 3 minutes drive from my house. I'm in it right now. And the best investment that we did was do that, because my work is here and my home is my home. And so separating, I do work for myself, but having a separate place for me was what it saved my family, because I would, I would walk around with I even leave my laptop here. I mean, I ask the team, sometimes they'll be like, I sent you an email, and I'm like, I have to wait till I get to my office to see it, because I don't get work email even on my phone or at home. And I do that on purpose. I don't have no notifications on my phone. I turn all notifications off on my phone. I don't get notifications of Facebook. You're using Facebook to get a hold of me. You're not going to get a hold of me, because that, I only check, and I time block as well. So Naomi, you were talking about kind of making a plan. I do that at night, the night before. Usually I make my list and I kind of make the plan for what's important for the next day. And then when my husband and I kind of feel off track, even just before coming to the office to get on this call, we were talking, we're like, okay, I've got a lot on my plate right now. Anyone who knows what I'm doing right now, I've got so much going on at one time. And he was like, okay, what's urgent and important? I don't know if you guys have ever done that, like, broken it up into the quadrant, before, but what is urgent and important needs to be done right now. What is important but not urgent is important, but it can be set aside, and what's urgent and important needs to be right now. And so, we were kind of going through my to-do list, and there were a few things on my, urgent or important, but not urgent. And my husband was like, nope, you need to set that aside. This is more important. And sometimes, you need someone to bounce that off of as well. So, I mean, I love having accountability groups and accountability partners in business and in life as well. I've got an accountability partner, just close friends. I've got them for business, and I've got separate ones for just like motherhood and home life. And marriage and all of that as well, you know? So just people to hold you accountable, because life just gets busy, you know? Like sometimes you get distracted even by just things you're supposed to be putting attention and focus on, right? And you sometimes need to reframe that as well. So yeah.
Accountability is amazing, because I was just saying, I had my office space actually the last 3 years, and I literally just, kind of closed that and went fully into the house. But one thing that I did do is it's separate. So my third bedroom, I close the door when I leave. Everything's off. I don't take my computer out of it. I make sure that it's still that separate space. So you're very right. Like, you have a tendency when you work from home you're supposed to be sitting on the couch watching TV, and the next thing you know, your computer's in your lap.
Yeah.
And then if you're doing things virtual, people have to understand you're marketing virtually. So you're going to TikTok, and you have, one thing I do is on Sundays, sometimes Saturdays, but mostly Sunday evenings, I prepare for the week. So anything that I'm going to do, whether it's podcast, whether it's I'm going to do a live, whether I'm going to, get on TikTok and do a video, or, just some advertisement, whatever. And I do all of that so that I know what I have to do during the week. But I'm going to tell you, when you say distractions, try to get on TikTok.
Forget about it.
Oh, that's all night.
Yeah.
2 hours later, 2 hours later, you're literally still watching, and you have not done the video that you were supposed to be doing, the content, right? So that's one thing that I had to do. I make sure that it's separated so that I don't mess that up and start blending the two. Because when I'm outside of that room, it's me and my dogs, and I'm watching crime shows. I'm not intermingling, you know what I mean? But I had to do that because I have a problem with working all day, all night. Like you, Carrie, like I'm just focused and zoned in, and then you don't have any balance. Now you're doing everything work, and you're forgetting about yourself.
Yeah. And I think giving yourself permission to completely unplug from everything you're doing, like Eduardo was saying, your focus. I mean, but giving yourself permission to completely have something that you do where you completely unplug and just, get away from everything. For me, that's Turkish shows. It sounds weird, but I'm learning the language, but I have to read the subtitles. And so my brain, like, I'm trying to pay attention to what's happening on the screen while reading subtitles. And so for the ADHD brain, it's just, I focus. Sometimes when I'm watching like an English, movie or show, I'll still totally try to do two things at once, even though I'm supposed to be just enjoying myself. And so the Turkish shows is something I've gotten into because I literally can't do anything else but focus on that. And I'm still trying to pick up to like when they maybe translate something wrong. I'm like, wait a minute, there was another show I was watching and they said it this way and that's how it was translated. So I'm like literally to the point now where I'm learning, and my kids too, they're homeschooled, and they've gotten, my older two have gotten really fast at reading because I won't read them the subtitles. And so they have to read it themselves. I'm like, I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying this. I'm not going to read them out loud for you. And so they want to watch as well. And they want to, and that's another thing too, Turkish shows, they're way more appropriate than our shows. I'm just going to say that. And they're different kind of storytellers. And so, my kids can watch them and they ask questions, and the cultural differences are awesome. But anyway, I just give myself permission to fully unplug sometimes, not every day, but when it needs, especially when I need to, like, sometimes I've got so many windows up at one time that I'm no longer productive anymore. And I'm like, turn on a show.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me ask a quick question now, because you got me thinking about this focus thing. It's really, I'm keyed in on that. Just from each of you, how many of you have missed a personal event because of work that you knew that, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. I can't believe that. Just share that story. I'll give you mine at the end, but
all the time. I mean, I don't have a lot of events to go to, but when I do, it's always like, it's really sad. For a long time, I would just my response would be like, oh, I probably have to work, but I'll let you know. Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I might not have my schedule for that week yet, but it's a possibility I could, but I don't want to make that commitment. And then it got to the point, to be honest, where like people probably just stopped calling, like asking me to, meet them for lunch or brunch. And then it was like, I let work be the excuse for so long. And I was okay with that because to me, I'm thinking of it like, well, it's like pedal to the metal. Like I have to do what I have to do. And whatever time that may be, like I'm home alone, I can make the work whatever time I want to like focus in. And, because there's a time you work in your business and then on your business. Yeah. Right. So I had to get out of working in the business and work on the business. And sometimes that's weekends, when I can kind of like step away and there's not calls and things like that. So, now I'm not getting too many calls, but they'll come back.
And mine was always the sorority. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Okay.
Incorporated.
All right, go ahead. Do that thing. I was ready to say, do that thing. Go ahead and do it.
A lot of people like, what's the elephant about? I'm like, I'm not a Delta.
Come on now. Don't get us started.
Funny because my sorority sisters got to a point, Naomi, they literally would say, well, we're not going to ask her because we already know she got to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could be step shows, it could be whatever. They became accustomed to the fact that I was so geared towards, just making sure I get the job done, no matter what days that was, that it was easier for me to say, let me check. Oh, I'm going to try to come or, whatever, knowing that I'm going to be at work. Or that I'm going to choose it, making a choice to work, because that's really what it was.
That's really what it is. It's a choice. I like that.
Eduardo?
Well, on the one hand, we have an interesting situation because sometimes we all identify certain patterns or behaviors or ways of thinking about ourselves that seem to explain what is going on with us, with our time, and the way that we manage things. Right. But I like to tell everybody that sometimes we forget that the brain itself is always running these patterns in the subconscious, and we want them to be subconscious. Yeah. But sometimes we misinterpret those processes as if that was me and my identity and my personality. Like I like to tell to everybody, the brain has certain rules. Rule number one, our brain is always looking for pleasure, comfort. It wants to give us pleasure, comfort all the time. Yeah. And at the same time, it's trying to help us avoid pain and discomfort. And it's always doing those two things with the least amount of effort, with the least amount of time. So at the logical level, I can tell myself I'm going to work on my website for 2 hours. Yeah. And then I go to the computer and the animal, the primitive part of the brain says, but I don't feel like it. I mean, why do you want to do this? If we're going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be difficult. And here is Netflix. Let's just press the button and we're going to be happy and enjoy it so much. And the problem is that we take that kind of process and we say, that's who I am. And that's me, my personality, and that's the way I am, and that's the way life is. No, it's not. If you can understand it for what it is, it's just a process. Then you can understand it and then you can manipulate it to your advantage. Because now I can say, I'm going to work on my website and my brain says, I don't feel like it. And I say like, who cares? Let's go.
Wow.
Because I don't have to wait for a feeling to get to work. But many people, we wait for that feeling, for that, let me feel a little bit comfortable. Let me fix this uncomfortable feeling so I can work on my business. No, if you and your uncomfortable feeling, let's get to work.
Yeah, I'm a big feeler too, and I've learned that's the great art of self-discipline. Like actually developing the discipline to do exactly what you're saying, Eduardo, and realize, recognize, know it's not fun, but you're, or it's not pleasurable, but it's a task. It needs to get done, and so
and what you are feeling is just a feeling.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I like to say. The biggest secret in achieving whatever we want to do is simply our willingness to process, to manage, and to feel emotion. whatever the emotion is. It is. I mean, some people wait only for the pleasant feelings to take action. But we don't have to wait only for the pleasant feelings. I can be having the most horrible panic attack and I can take action. Because it's just a feeling. It's just a feeling.
My dad would always say, successful people do what they need to do when they don't feel like doing it. Right? Those times where like it doesn't matter. Like and once you conquer like self-discipline, to me, like anything is possible. I don't care what I feel like. If I'm hungry, put some Michael Jackson on and give myself 4 minutes. I do need a little filling, Eduardo. I need a little bit.
Exactly. That's what I would reframe what you said, because some people say like I need to conquer self-discipline. No, you don't. All you have to do is manage, process, and feel the emotion. Whatever the emotion shows up, you don't need motivation. You don't need discipline. Just feel emotions. The other day, I was coaching actually a coach in my business program, and she was saying, but sometimes I get so anxious in the consultations with my clients, and because I'm an introverted and I have to do this, so I have to prepare myself. And she said, like, well, let's work on my anxiety and my stress, so we can focus on my business. And I said, like, no, take your stress and your anxiety and your introversion, and use those feelings. Let's go get rich together. She was waiting to fix her introversion to go and to make money. I said, like, no, you and your introversion, let's make money together.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to wait for discipline. Let's go.
That's right.
With whatever
get to it. Just do it.
This feeling that I have is uncomfortable. Yes. So what?
Just start.
Stop complaining. Let's go.
Well, that's what.
And
go ahead.
Do you know what the quickest thing for me to do? When y'all are talking about, like, I literally, because I work as a social worker, you work with mental and behavioral health, and you talk about coping skills and learning how to focus more and things like that. The way that I really helped with the discipline and really making that decision was, I like crime shows, right? It's easier for me if I just put on, and it can be in the background or whatever. If I'm listening to audible crime shows or a podcast or something, and I can listen to it, I don't necessarily have to see it. And I had to learn that, because I had a tendency, soon as I start hearing some havoc in the background, I'm like,
you get all distracted.
But the truth of the matter is, something like FBI files or forensic files, I can listen and I know what's going on. And that would cause me to just really, really zone out. So for me, doing something like that, I know what shows to choose and what shows not to choose on how I'm going to get work done.
Let me ask this. I'm going to push back a little bit. Can you really multitask? Is that real?
No, science actually tells us that the brain cannot even do that. What happens is the brain switches very quickly. And it seems that there is a continuum of your consciousness, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Your consciousness can switch to hearing, watching, talking, feeling, tasting, but it cannot do everything at the same time.
Yeah.
But it does it so fast that it makes us believe that I'm multitasking. Look at me. I can hear, watch, play, and say, and do. No, I can't. My brain can do it really fast.
I know when I was younger, we used to play this game. We used to take a magnifying glass, and we would go outside when it was very hot, and it would work perfectly down here in Florida. And we'd take a magnifying glass, and we would put it over top of a piece of paper. It'd be a nice hot day, and that heat would come through. And as long as you kept your hands still, that paper would burst into flames. Right. But I could imagine that's us in our business trying to focus on something. But then crime files, then this, then this, then that, then that, and then what happens is the thing we focus on, that result that we're expecting, it never happens, and then we move on to something else, and we're doing the same thing, we move on to something else. So that whole balance thing has always been off for me. I was taught by a mentor. It's not mostly about balance; it's more about alignment. It's really about alignment. Is what you're telling me going to take me out of alignment, or is it going to bring me back into alignment? Because if it's anything that's going to take me away from where this direction, then it's not going to be about balance. Because the minute I finally get balanced, Here comes something
So-
else. And for me, it was kids. When my kids would call me, I shut everything down. My son called me this morning. I'm literally in the middle of editing my course, trying to get this opening right. And here's my son. And I looked at the phone, and I don't want to say he's 33, by the way. He's in love. So he's
same age.
right. So I'm like, you know, but here I go. Here go dad. I pick up. Now I'm off for an hour, right? So now I'm back out of balance again.
Right.
As opposed to me just texting and say, hey, man, let me call you back or something like that. And so that's my take on the whole balance thing. I think the balancing act is just like juggling. I mean, it's just like eventually you might be able to do one okay. You might better do two okay. But once that third thing coming in, right, you know, you're gonna be all over the place. So this is really a really good topic as well. I remember seeing as far as that what we focus on. There was a video that showed these people bouncing the basketball. I think they were talking about Eduardo something called the reticular activating system that we have in our brains. That is the thing you focus on, right? If they tell you to focus on a person that's dribbling the basketball with a white shirt on, and everybody had white shirts, and everybody was bouncing the ball. I told you to focus on that, right? And you focus on that for like 30 seconds, and next thing you know, a gorilla walks through in the middle of them playing basketball, and then it says, "Did you see the gorilla?" And I'm like, "What gorilla?" You go to the video. And because you were focusing on that white shirt and that basketball, and I said, "Oh my God, that was a great." He just came through and just waved and just walked right through. So it's amazing that what we focus on really grows, but we got to be able to come to the point, I believe, as far as we got to get to completion of that particular task and move into the next thing and move to the next thing. Anybody want to?
Yeah. I'll say too, like just from an adult child perspective for you, Fred, maybe some peace of mind. My dad is the exact same. Whenever one of us calls him, he'll immediately pick up the phone.
Thank you.
For the longest time, he would pick up every single phone call, especially mine. I don't know. I might be the favorite.
By the favorite.
But every single time I would call him, he'd pick up the phone and we'd talk. And then he'd be like, "Hey, I'm on the job. I'm actually on site right now." And I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me? You're like standing out there in the heat and you're on site with your guys." And because he owns a business too. Right. And I'm like, we didn't have to have this conversation. So, I mean, he got a mentor finally as well. And his mentor, you know, got him into this habit of first immediately still answer the call and say, "Hey, I'm answering, but do you need me this moment, or can I call you back because I'm doing something?" And as from the adult child perspective, I'll just tell you, like, I actually respect that more. That like he's letting me know that he cares about our conversation and whatever I have to say, and if it's urgent, he wants to hear now. But if it's something that can wait, he's got priorities too. And so I respect his priorities. He respects mine. And he has to call. His problem is, you know, ADHD as well. He doesn't call me back. That's the problem. So like, you're going to call him back, call him back.
Call him back. Absolutely. Because they're waiting.
I'm not like, I don't feel dissed or, you know, I don't feel like, you know, unattended to by my dad when he says that. And I would say 80% of the time now, we don't have an immediate conversation. We wait and we have a conversation later that day, or in his case, you know, a week later. But I'm just saying from an adult child perspective, like we recognize too that you guys have things to do as well. And you have to set that boundary too. You have to set that boundary and expectation for them. They'll be okay with it. Like, we'll be okay with it, but you have to set that expectation so that, you know, you can change that as well, because it'll be better for you if you can focus and be more productive on what you need to in that moment. And then come back, circle around to it. You know, I've gotten in the habit of doing that too when people call me, and it's been so helpful.
So thank you so much for sharing that. I feel so much better, Carrie. Thank you so much. As far as sleep in your work-life balance, where does sleep that priority? Look, everybody just fell back.
Naomi's like, "No, what are you talking? Where's LaShawn? Where's LaShawn? She needs to pop on the screen for a moment."
ongoing problem. I've worked on a lot of things, and I've gotten a lot of things and checked some things off my list, and that is currently and has continuously been something that I've dealt with for so long.
Yeah.
I'm just to the point where it's like some people sleep a lot, some people don't. I'm just one of those people that doesn't. Like it's I've almost like made it seem like it's okay. No sleep. No sleep. No.
What is sleep? What is that? That's like that's a foreign term. I'm not sure. Let me tell you something. And I had to hop in work-life balance, talk about work-life balance. Right now I'm in a conference call, so I'm just like going back and forth, but I do not sleep. This is something I need to work on for sure. Because it could affect your actual work, and it affect everything else. But I don't sleep. And I know there's plenty of times where Carrie's just like, did you get any sleep last night? Because my mind is always on 100 all the time. I'm thinking about family. I'm thinking about work. I'm thinking about everything, all aspects of life. And I literally don't sleep, mainly because I feel like at night, that's when my mind, because I compartmentalize throughout the day. So it's like at nighttime, that's when I have time to just kind of like decompress. But that's where all the thoughts just come to my head. Yeah. All the ideas just come to my head, and I just don't sleep. And I know I need to work on that. I probably should work on that. I definitely had to hop in to mention that.
I think we all struggle with it. Like I think entrepreneurs at all, like what you're saying. I mean, when it gets to be really late at night, the ideas start really flowing. That's like my creative brain kind of takes over at night. But like my productivity is so much better in the morning when I've gotten good sleep. And so, I'm bad at it too. I'm pot calling the kettle black because at least I know at 3 a.m, I'm like, well, it's 4 a.m. for LaShawn, but I bet she's awake. And I just
The funny thing is, I literally am in the process. I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm physically in the process of learning how to really get some sleep, because that is something that is so essential. But I'm going to tell you, my biggest issue is, like she said, I can literally get up in the morning, 6 o'clock, I'm running all day, having a good productive day. And you know how in that window of time that you're just exhausted and you're like, I can't wait till I get home. I'm going to relax, take a shower, whatever. I swear 8 o'clock, there's some type of ticker in the atmosphere that says more work. Yeah. Oh, you remember that? Like it's something that popped in. And at 8 o'clock, I get this boost of energy. Next thing I know, I'm in there looking at automations, going in and putting some projects in, or I'm on my website and I look up and it's 2 a.m. And I'm like, but the energy level to the roof. I mean, everything that I wanted to do during the day, all of a sudden just came to fruition. Right? You know what I mean? So I'm in the process right now as we speak, the last couple of weeks, of literally, especially when I don't have any clients, shutting it down and physically making myself get ready for bed, even if I'm just laying in the bed watching TV, because at some point I doze off and then boom, at least I'm getting that sleep. Now I'm a little bit like LaShawn when she says, like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night with no problem, 3 in the morning and got something on my brain, but I wasn't getting any of that. I was going morning to morning,
It's a work in progress. Yeah.
I think for me, I can't, if I'm not at peace, I can't go to sleep. And me being a perfectionist or semi-perfectionist, I always feel like there's more I need to do, or what could I have done differently, or I'm always in my head. So if I'm not at peace, or if I feel I could have done something different, and this is the internal battle that I kind of face, but if I'm not at peace, it's hard for me to go to sleep. So I literally have to just kind of silence my thoughts completely. It may sound crazy, but I'll try to focus on one sound in order to just calm my mind down, or listen to meditation music, or just something, to kind of like drown my thoughts, because if not, I'm just going to be up all night.
But you see, I would recommend 2 things. Number 1, a thought download and a to-do download.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that we all get these thoughts about ideas, beliefs, opinions, whatever I have about life. And then I also get these things that I have to do, that I need to do, that I should do, and that I would like to do. But the problem is that we keep those thoughts and things to do in our brains, and that is consuming mental energy.
Mm.
So my recommendation number one is let's do a thought download. Every opinion, idea, whatever comes to mind on piece of paper. Everything that I have to do, that I need to do, that I want to do, that I should do on a piece of paper. Because with that, that's it. I have permission to not think about that because it's already on paper.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, the
that
end
works
of the
with
night. What were you saying, Naomi?
I was just saying that actually works because I used to have a problem with going to sleep because I knew I still had stuff to do and I like couldn't just walk away from it. But when I would write my, to-do lists or whatever it is, for the next day, like something about putting it on paper, it's like I acknowledge that I didn't do it, but I promise I'm going to do it tomorrow. And it does some type of like, it settles my mind a little bit more. But just like LaShawn said, like, I'd rather like going to sleep without that piece is almost, and having like a horrible night's rest and just like good quality sleep and just not going to sleep at all, isn't it?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one thing I had to tell myself is not to stress over things that's outside of my control. If there's nothing I can do about it right now, like I had to tell myself, LaShawn, what can you do about that right now? Nothing. So me stressing about it or me keeping myself up is just affecting all the rest of the aspects of my life. You know what I mean? So I have to always, what can you do? Can you do something about it now? If not, then, keep it pushing or go to sleep or just try to be at peace, because why stress if I literally cannot do anything to change it? Sometimes things are just outside of your control.
Well, that's my recommendation with a thought download, because when I do a download of my whatever I have in mind, I can actually go back and look at it. Like LaShawn, you were saying, I look at something. What is this? Is this an external circumstance that I don't have control over? Yeah, okay, circumstance. Then what is this? Oh, this is a feeling. Or then look at it. Oh, that's a thought. Oh, look at this. This is a belief. Then look at this. Oh, this is a to-do thing. So I empty my mind so I can make a space for my wisdom.
Yes, that's good. And on transparency, I went to bed at 6 o'clock last night. I'm sorry.
Oh.
What, like PM or AM?
PM.
Oh.
And I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock.
If I was sick, I could. That's like if I'm on the couch at 9 p.m. Like when I'm on the couch, they're like, "Oh, you must not feel well." Yeah.
What did you do
to chill?
Like,
it's bad.
Like LaShawn, what do you do to actually shut it off?
That was my next question.
Yeah. Because somebody out there in this group is looking for that kind of nugget to let, because they're struggling probably with the same thing.
Yeah, so literally, just like I mentioned, I have to focus on, and it may sound weird, I have to focus on a sound, or I just have to like, for example, if I have the fan on or something like that, I have to like focus on a specific sound. That helps me at least. Initially I started listening to like meditation music or just music in general, or just to calm myself down. Yeah, so I'll like go to YouTube and I'll like listen to, I just need to, if I focus on one sound, I really can't think much, you know what I mean? So I literally have to, I've also tried what Eduardo said and wrote it down, like wrote all my thoughts down and then put it away. And then just kind of just like, even if it's just silence in general, like I just have to focus, hone into just nothing, you know what I mean? I just have to push. And it does take a lot of like mental resilience in a sense, mental strength, but I have to just push everything out and just, again, it goes back to just being at peace in general. So I just have to also, I'll just think, okay, LaShawn, you accomplished this today. Today was a good day. Save the rest for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like instead of just focusing on what you couldn't control or all the outside factors or things that's going to happen next week, next month, narrow it down to today. You did this today. This was great. Today was a good day. And then everything else just kind of like tomorrow, start again tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think routine is important.
It
Like
has to be there.
having little tips. Like
Yeah.
I use an app to listen to like sleepy music.
Mhm.
I have sleepy spray. I have sleepy tea. I have like
Okay.
'cause it was something I
Nice.
really had to deal with, and now I found a little routine. I drink my tea. It's not sleepy tea, but it's like tranquility or something.
Mm.
I put my music on. I spray my little spray in the air. I turn the fan on, and if I have to count sheep, I have to count sheep. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
It works.
No, my grand
Because
when my granddaughter, she can't sleep, and I'll just call her up, and she be having everybody up, and I'll be like, nighty night, sleepy tight. And sometimes we got to do that to our adult selves. Find something that we can
yeah,
hum and sing,
Yeah.
and just like you said, Coach, just lay there and let your
yeah,
body know it's time to go to
Too
sleep.
bad.
yeah. Because
Period.
technically, yeah,
Yeah.
when you think
Yeah.
about it, you are learning. Like in my program, I teach them during the mindset framework, where we're just really changing the thought processes and paradigms. Sometimes you've got to meditate.
Yeah.
And even people think that meditation is like this really huge dramatic thing,
No.
and it's focusing, like literally learning how. Now of course you've got different stages, you can go into all of the spiritual aspects of it, but
Yeah.
simple meditation where it's just you, it's
Foundational. Yes. That's it.
balance within yourself,
Mhm.
really aligning your chakras and being still.
Yeah.
We say that, but it's easier said than done sometimes. But the truth of the matter is, if you just do it and you make that a repetition and you make that something that you make a boundary of yours, and it's a time where you do that just for you, it becomes so simple.
Yeah.
It's
And it's
something that's just going to be automatic.
and I even try sometimes just turning things off and becoming completely still and try to listen to my heartbeat.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
That's it.
that
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah.
It really works.
we do some similar things. We try to turn off all screens
Yeah.
for a half an hour before we go to bed. My husband had his way; it would be an hour before. But we do a few things, and it's also too. I feel like the same things that we do to help go to sleep are also the same things we do to help calm the kids down as well when they're like really in their feels and they need to like calm down a little bit. Is we do deep breath work. And so we close our eyes and we breathe in very deep for 10 seconds, hold it, and then release it. And we just do that over and over again. And we do it with the kids even. I've got a couple hotheads, and we do it with them until they like fully calm down and the release of their shoulders. And then for going to bed at night, my husband's done this ever since. I mean, I've always been sleepless. This is not new. And he kind of taught me early on in our marriage to focus, like to close your eyes, lay in bed, and focus on actually relaxing every piece of your body. So you start with your head and you go down, and you just think like you're actually like cognitively focusing on, okay, releasing and relaxing your arms and your fingers and your chest, breathing a certain way, and then your legs, and just all of it. And so it just gets you to really calm down and focus on just that. And so that's kind of what we do. We just do a lot of like actually relaxing your body, and we do a lot of breath work with your eyes closed because that helps a lot. So that helps us in getting to sleep and also calming down. So
And next thing you know, you're asleep, right?
Yeah.
Your knees and you're like you're gone. So it works.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna go ahead and close out in a few minutes. I want if you guys just give someone just one particular tip that you can give them as far as his work-life balance. And I'm gonna go around the room real quick and start with you, LaShawn.
So one tip when it comes to work-life balance in general is, and just priorities, do what makes you happy. Put yourself first. Just like we were saying in the comments, like it's okay to say no to people, but prioritize what makes you happy. A lot of times, and for me too, I had to learn this. I tend to put people before myself. So I always like go out my way, even if it inconvenience me. So, and then especially with me, and I know, but I wasn't on here just to speak on my experience with work-life balance. being in the military and entrepreneurship in general, it's a lot to balance. And I had to kind of take that step and just put myself first. Like, what makes you happy? And I know we spoke on this on the last episode, but a big part of figuring out what makes you happy is knowing who you are as a person, you know. And I feel like we have to take a step back and understand, who are we? Who are you? What makes you happy? What do you like? What do you dislike? What do you want out of life? What do you don't want in life? And then come up with a timeline for that, and then prioritize it. You know, that's family, that's career wise, that's personal, all aspects. And it's okay to just write it down. Like, I have to write it all down. Like, I have to write down everything that I need to do, and then put it in order, and then base it off of that. And the timeline does have an effect on that. But one thing I do want to encourage people is to put yourself first. Put yourself first. Put your happiness first. What's the first thing to come to mind when I ask you what makes you happy? What makes you happy? You know, if you don't know, that's okay. Take some time to think about that. And then from there, once you kind of have a sense of self, you'll be able to know where to go and how to navigate that.
Absolutely. Carrie?
Yeah, kind of along those lines, I think learning what you want out of life and what you don't want out of life, learning to let go of what you can't control. Like LaShawn was saying earlier too, you know, recognizing when you can or can't control something, and just letting it just be completely off your plate to begin with. I mean, worrying about things that you don't have control about, it's just going to put stress on your thought life and your physical health as well. And it's going to cause sleeplessness. Of course, it's going to cause anxiety. But I'm just a big believer in priorities, knowing what your priorities are and what your priorities aren't. And then having, in an equal breath, really, is having good communication with people, not just those who are very close to you, but even people who aren't, who are, you know, somewhat demanding your attention or needing attention from you and focus. But just having open communication and communicating what you are going to put your focus on and what you aren't, is going to help everyone be informed, you know. And I think miscommunication is one of the biggest problems in humanity at all, is, you know, just this idea that, you know, maybe what you have to say or what you think or what you believe is something that, you know, that person might not like, or it might cause confrontation or something, but I just think open communication really helps everything. And it'll help you to not like hold the baggage and the bondage of certain anxieties or stress or thoughts that you shouldn't even be focusing on, in terms of, you know, balancing it all, you know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carrie. Coach T.
Technically, I would tell people to definitely create the boundaries. Don't really focus on who's with you, who's not with you, not focusing on you know, whether this person is going to believe in you, whether that person's going to believe in you. When you're focused as an entrepreneur, you have got to put boundaries in place, because we have a tendency to give so much of ourselves to other people. And I said, when I got on, being able to take that focus back, making a choice to take that focus back and say, you know, would love to hang out this weekend, but I can't. I've got to be able to do X, Y, Z. I would love to run and help you move, because there's nobody else in the family that can help you move, but I've got to do X, Y, Z, and not feeling bad about that. Being able to put those boundaries in place and really understand that they are for you to make it to your next level.
Absolutely. Thank you. Naomi.
So I would say be intentional, right? And this applies to everything it is you're trying to accomplish in life. Be intentional. Like, okay, I know I'm a workaholic. I work a lot. I have no balance, right? My name is Naomi. I work a lot. I'm a workaholic. I have no balance. And knowing, like, I have a problem with this. I want balance. This is something I want. This is something I'm not good with, right? And being intentional, like, this is what I'm going to work on. Yeah. And just knowing, like, some people can just do something and it works for them really quickly. Some people, you know, I know they say, what is it, like 3 weeks or 14 days or something to make a habit. Some people, the sleep thing, it took me like 3 months, right? So, but I was intentional about it. I knew I had a problem. I wanted to get better. And I created a process for myself because I know I can't just look at the clock at 9 p.m. and go to sleep. So I created a process out of it. Set an alarm for 11:30 p.m. not to wake me up, but to tell me to go to bed. Right? Drink that tea at a certain time. To take a shower, lay it down. Creating the processes that work for me, and to be intentional about what it is you're trying to accomplish, and just knowing that it doesn't just work right away. So being patient, but once you know what you want and what you're good at and what you're not and what you want to do and where you're going, you don't have that guilt. You don't carry that guilt so much. It's like, hey, I'm working on it. That's all I can do. Right.
That's it.
And I think that's a good start.
Absolutely. And before we go to the water, I want to thank everybody for being here, for watching the Entrepreneurs Networking show. We're here every single Wednesday. Don't forget, everybody, give us some love right here. Put in the comments what you got out of today's. We're here every single week, and don't forget. Also, next Monday, we're going to be doing our Net Connect as part of the ENG group, Net Connect, where you better network. People pop up every 5 minutes, and you're going to meet somebody new and build great connections. That's next Monday, August 8th from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And so we just appreciate you here. We're streaming live here in the Entrepreneur Networking group, and we're streaming live on YouTube as well. So if you miss it, which I don't believe you should miss it, but it's Eastern time, you better get the replay as well. Every single week we are here. So with that being said, let's wrap up. Mr. Eduardo, give us some tips for the day on that work life out of balance. That's what I want to call it.
Well, I was just going to add that, the main problem for many people is that we don't trust ourselves in doing what we say we're going to do. Because there is part of that brain that allows us to make these plans about our future and about our vision and what we want and who we want to become. And then there is the other part of the brain that overwhelms us with the instincts, with the animal part of the brain. And the problem is that we don't trust ourselves. Yeah. But let me just say that you can learn to create an identity that allows you to trust yourself in doing what you say you're going to do. If you learn to separate those processes of the brain that have nothing to do with who you are and who we are and our personalities, they are just processes. And if we can see them for what they are, we can actually create an identity for us that will allow us to do whatever we say we're going to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. We had a great, that was an amazing, wasn't it? You guys love us. Show some love, everybody out there. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Coach T and Naomi. And thank you for popping on our CEO visionary, LaShawn. Appreciate the comment. And we'll see you guys next week, same time, same channel. We'll be here at 3 p.m. Everybody, we'll give it away to everybody that's watching all over the world. Bye. All hours of the night. We'll see you guys next week. That is the ENC show. My name is Fred, and we're out.